From our Toronto studios, this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Zahra Syed. Our top story for today, a Turkish-American activist was shot and killed by Israeli forces during a Friday protest in Beit Nablus. U.S. citizen Aisha Noor Azgi Aigi was shot in the head and despite medical efforts succumbed to her injuries at the Rafidia hospital. Aigi was a volunteer with the Faza campaign, which supports Palestinian farmers against illegal Israeli settlements. According to Al Jazeera, she arrived in the West Bank on Tuesday. Eyewitnesses say Israeli soldiers fired live ammunition at demonstrators opposing the settlement of Avatar on Mount Spee. Wafa News Agency has confirmed Aigi's American citizenship. Beta residents who protest weekly are calling for the removal of illegal Israeli settlement because it violates their land rights. Israeli airstrikes targeted 2 homes in Gaza City, killing at least 10 Palestinians in the past 24 hours. Residential blocks in southern and central Gaza, including Rafah and Zaytun, were destroyed. In Zaytun, 6 people died in Israel's bombing of the Radi family home, while a Palestinian woman and her daughter died in Del al-Hawa, with others feared dead under the rubble. In another incident, Israeli shelling hit a tent sheltering displaced individuals west of the Nusayrat refugee camp, killing at least 4 and wounding several others. UN spokesman Stefan Dujarric highlighted a severe humanitarian crisis in Gaza. He said more than 1 million people in central and southern Gaza did not receive food rations in August. The Palestinian Health Ministry reports that Israeli military authorities are blocking the entry of medical teams for an emergency polio vaccination campaign in southern Gaza. In the city of Jenin in the West Bank, Israeli forces have withdrawn after 10 days of intense operations, although there are concerns about their possible return. Israel so far has killed at least 40,878 Palestinians and injured 94,454 others in Gaza since last October. However, in an article published in the British medical journal The Lancet in July, experts say the death toll of Palestinians could be around 186,000. Israel faces allegations of genocide at the International Court of Justice for its relentless war on Gaza. Meta's oversight board has ruled the phrase, "from the river to the sea," often used in support of Palestinians, does not breach its policies. The board concluded the phrase is not inherently anti-Semitic. This decision followed a review of posts and confirmed that while the phrase can express solidarity, it must not be linked to calls for violence or hate speech. The panel noted that the phrase referring to the area between the Jordan River and the Mediterranean Sea holds diverse meanings and is used differently by various people. Israeli officials and pro-Israel groups claim it incites violence and amounts to erasing of Jews. The board, however, found the phrase's use in the reviewed posts was solely for expressing support without promoting violence. The decision comes amid Israel's protracted war on Gaza, with mounting casualties causing a humanitarian catastrophe. Meta says its review aims to balance safety and free expression on the platform. A group of Free Palestine protesters rallied through the campus of Georgetown University in Washington on Wednesday. During the demonstration, which began with the new semester, students called for the school's divestment from Israel and an end to Israel's war on Gaza. The demonstrators blocked a campus intersection and gathered to chant outside of Healy Hall inside the campus. The protest follows one at Columbia University in New York City on Tuesday. Following Free Palestine protests that spread from United States universities this spring to campuses worldwide, authorities are tightening security ahead of the start of fall classes, including a ban on protest camps. These measures are under fire as violating freedom of speech. Families of American Israeli prisoners held by Hamas are urging the White House to bypass Israel and negotiate directly with the Palestinian group for their release. NBC reports that this move is under serious consideration by the Biden administration, which says it remains committed to exploring all options. However, it says a deal involving Israel and the resistance group still is seen as preferable. The push for a direct deal intensified after the recent retrieval of the body of Hersh Goldberg Pullen, an Israeli-American soldier and hostage from Gaza. Families and officials are skeptical that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will agree to a ceasefire in exchange for prisoners. Some are questioning Netanyahu's commitment to ending the war. The U.S., alongside Qatar and Egypt, has been struggling to mediate a ceasefire amid Israel's ongoing war, which has killed over 40,000 Palestinians and international criticism. According to the Washington Post, there are currently 23,380 American citizens serving in the Israeli army. And in related news, the White House is standing firm that a ceasefire deal in Gaza involving a prisoner swap is nearly complete. This is despite Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's denials. A senior U.S. official claimed that 90% of the deal is done, but Netanyahu called this exactly inaccurate, saying negotiations are far from final. National Security Council spokesperson John Kirby has emphasized that while the main terms are agreed upon, details on prisoner exchanges and specific logistical issues remain unresolved. Netanyahu's opposition to withdrawing from the strategic Philadelphia corridor has been a significant sticking point. With 101 Israeli prisoners and 9,500 Palestinian prisoners involved, the situation remains tense and complex. Portland makes history as the first East Coast city to divest from Israeli entities. Details come after the break. Stay tuned and we will be right back. Welcome back. Portland, Maine has made headlines as the first East Coast city to vote for divesting public funds from companies linked to Israel's war on Gaza. On Wednesday, the City Council approved a resolution calling for the removal of investments in more than 85 entities. These include major U.S. corporations like Chevron and Boeing, as well as Israeli firms such as Elbit Systems. Spearheaded by the Maine Coalition for Palestine and Jewish Voices for Peace, the resolution aims to halt economic support for Israel, which has contributed to a humanitarian crisis in Gaza. It calls on the city to avoid future investments in any company complicit in the ongoing Israeli war. This decision echoes similar measures taken by other U.S. cities earlier this year. It also reflects a growing movement calling for economic pressure to end Israeli policies in Palestine. The cities of Hayward and Richmond in California, as well as Hamtramck in Michigan, passed similar divestment resolutions earlier this year. Sarah Snyder, a spokesperson for the Maine chapter of Jewish Voice for Peace, expressed immense gratitude for the Portland City Council's resolution. The arrest of French nurse Iman Marifi, who recently spent 15 days in Gaza, has ignited controversy in France. Marifi was detained at her home early Thursday. She's under fire from critics who argue her arrest contrasts sharply with the lack of accountability for French soldiers involved in Gaza. Lawyer Rafik Chakat, who leads an anti-Islamophobia platform, denounced the arrest as an attempt to silence voices of the Free-Palestinian movement. Lawmaker Thomas Portes of the group La France Insoumise notes that Marifi has since been released but condemned the aggressive search of her home as intimidation. Marifi, who is a prominent advocate for a Gaza ceasefire and boycott of Israeli-supporting companies, recently attended rallies in France to highlight the dire conditions in Gaza. Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump has expressed surprise over Russian President Vladimir Putin's recent endorsement of Vice President Kamala Harris for November's election. Speaking at the New York Economic Club, Trump admitted he was not sure how to respond to Putin's support for Harris. "I don't know if I should be insulted or if he did me a favor," Trump said. Putin, commenting from a Russian economic forum, said that while Biden was his initial preference, he would now support Harris. He even joked that Harris's lively demeanor suggested she would be less likely to impose sanctions on Russia. The National Security Council swiftly condemned Putin's comments, urging him to stop interfering in American elections. Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump has promised to establish a government efficiency commission headed by billionaire Elon Musk if he wins the November election. Trump said at the New York Economic Club that Musk has agreed to lead it. Musk floated the idea of an efficiency commission, saying he would be happy to help out on such a commission during an interview last month on X with Trump. Bangladesh has protested to India following the fatal shooting of 13-year-old Swarna Das by Indian Border Security Forces, or the BSF. The incident occurred September 1st, when Das was shot while crossing the border with relatives. Her body was returned to Bangladesh after a 45-hour delay. This protest, initiated by Bangladesh's transitional government under Muhammad Yunus, is the first since former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's resignation on August 5th. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs condemned the shooting as a ruthless act, calling for a thorough investigation and accountability. Human rights groups report rising tensions along the India-Bangladesh border, with several fatalities and injuries attributed to BSF actions in recent years. Bangladesh is urging India to prevent such incidents and uphold border guidelines. According to Aino Salish Kendra, a local human rights organization, at least 13 Bangladeshis were killed and 11 injured by BSF between January and June. The Bangladeshi human rights group Odhikar reports that between 2000 and 2020, more than 1,200 Bangladeshis were killed and over 1,100 injured in BSF-related shootings along the border. India's southern state of Karnataka has postponed awarding its Best Teacher accolade to B.G. Ramakrishna, who is the principal of a college. This is amid backlash over his stance during the 2022 hijab ban row, in which he barred Muslim students from wearing hijabs and entering schools. Karnataka is led by the opposition Congress Party. Originally set to be honored on Teachers' Day, Ramakrishna's award was put on hold after criticism from Muslim community activists. Education Minister Madhu Bangarappa assured that the award was merely withheld for further review and not cancelled. He stressed the decision to withhold it stems from concerns about Ramakrishna's actions during the controversy. Hindu nationalists have criticized the move, accusing the government of yielding to what they claim are jihadi elements and insulting the teaching profession. They defended Ramakrishna, saying that he merely enforced official orders. Pope Francis has made headlines during his visit to Indonesia, commending the world's largest Muslim country for its emphasis on family growth over pet ownership. Speaking at the presidential palace, the pontiff criticized the lack of true and forward-looking commitment to social justice in various countries, which he believes hinders families from thriving. The Pope praised Indonesia for its high birth rates, contrasting it with other nations where people opt for pets, like cats and dogs, instead of having children. He urged other countries to follow Indonesia's example, calling it a model of positive family values. This message echoes his past critiques of those who prioritize pets over children, a topic recently highlighted in U.S. political discourse. Republican vice presidential nominee J.D. Vance recently said the entire future of the Democrats is controlled by people without children. That's all from our Toronto studios. Thank you for watching Muslim News. We are a community channel dedicated to bringing you news you can trust. Please like, subscribe, share, and comment on what you thought of today's coverage. You can donate now by visiting muslimnetwork.tv/donate. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum.